Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we take a look at the Bardstown Discovery Series, number 11. Comes in at 59.05% ABV, Dustin. What else can you tell us about it, my friend?
All right, so the Discovery Series from Bardstown is where they have been going out and buying sourced bourbons from all over the place, making their own stuff, and blending it together. They're also, Bardstown is making their own bourbon. This, I believe, and I could be incorrect here, but I believe is the first time they've, in the Discovery Series, which is their flagship premium line, included their own whiskey. This one is also kind of it comes back to, I think, the first 4 releases were all Kentucky, and Mike is making a mess with my white label. This is the first one they've come back with.
Keep going.
I was going to take the bottle to make comments here for people. So this one comes in with...
Fussy with the labels, this one.
I mean...
Fussy pants. All right, go ahead.
White labels and bourbon spewing on them just doesn't work well. All right, so this is 73% a 13-year Kentucky bourbon, 75 corn, 13 rye, 12 malted barley, most likely wild turkey. 21% is a 10-year-old, 78 corn, 13 rye, 9% malt. Malted barley, we're going to guess maybe Bardstown. And then 6% is a 6-year-old wheated bourbon from Bardstown themselves. This is the first one since batch 4 to be Kentucky, and also the first one I bought since batch 4 because I don't like Dickel. It's the color staining that you're going to do to it, Mike. Come on.
It's the warning label.
So I
am the destroyer of labels, Dustin, as you know.
It did with my King Kentucky.
Buddy, I do to every one of my bottles, too. It's Lagavulins 21s from 19...
But this paper sucks it up with the bourbons. Scotches are better about that. Anyway.
Dustin's GoFundMe page for me ruining his label is...
Oh, jeez.
Give it to me, Dustin.
Anyway, I picked this up at a bourbon tasting in Frankfurt at an event where these guys were at. I got it for a pretty good price. I've not actually seen these locally, and it's been almost a year, so kind of crazy.
Beautiful, rich color.
Yeah.
Every time I see a Bardstown, I always have PTSD back to Chateau Labatt.
Oh, that's great whiskey.
I was just thinking, no.
Yeah, every time you're like, is that the one? No, it's not.
You started me off hot, Dustin. Started me hot.
Yeah, we've also had that Sherry Bomb that was delicious.
Yeah, no, we've had some nice whiskeys from there for sure.
Yeah, so first off, this is very sweet bourbon.
Yep, sweet candy.
And this is
confectionery sweetness.
Completely unfinished. This is just pure, regular old bourbon, but it is sweet.
Walking around at the carnival, smelling all the goodies.
And you absolutely pick up that wild turkey, man. That slight turkey funkiness that's coming in through there.
To be 16 with a bottle of 101 again.
Especially 101 from when we were younger.
Yep, it wasn't bad. Love of your life in the car seat next to you.
And there was a girl there too, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the 101. Definitely you pick up, just honest to God, you pick up corn.
Yeah, very corn forward. Sweet corn. But
sometimes I feel weird just being like, you know what I smell is corn, but I smell corn.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's to me, it's not subtle at all. I mean, this whiskey reminds me again of being at Sweet Corn Festival Fair, the thing we have here in Millsport, here locally in Central Ohio. Corn, sweetness, beautiful, rich bourbon notes. It just gives you caramel sweetness, confectionery caramel sweetness, and a little bit of cotton candy right at the end.
Yeah, I think the cotton candy is coming from that wheated Bardstown, because there is a little bit of that, and it's a sweeter note.
Yeah.
I do get a hint of almost like a purple crayon, slightly maybe hinting at grape note at the very end.
Twinge of mint.
Yeah, I can see that.
Man, I'm getting a little mint, a little bit of Mentos shell.
I keep looking for like a little bit of tobacco or leather, but honestly, even though it's 13-year-old turkey here, turkey's not a distillery that really gets those old notes on the nose that easily. So I'm not picking it up.
You know what? The mint note is really light, almost like New Riff.
Yeah, it's almost like
super insubstantial whiff. You know what I mean? It's just in the background.
It's almost just a hint of rice spice, more so than even mint.
You could say rice spice, Dustin. Yeah, I go with that.
I'm getting a little bit of butteriness now that I'm kind of swirling it. A little bit of frosting.
Golden hay. Little sweet honey graham cracker sweetness.
Yeah, just
Golden grams, yeah.
nice classic bourbon. Not impressing me on the nose, Mike. This is about a $140 bottle. The nose is a little lacking at that price point, but it's not bad by any means.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good bourbon.
the nose isn't spectacular, but the nose has plenty to offer. There's a lot of little things to offer. I wish it would focus more on one thing or the other.
Yeah. It's subtle, gentle nuances. The one thing I'm struggling with is I would like to pick up a bit more of that 13-year aged bourbon notes. I'm not getting old bourbon notes, which is a big part of what you're paying for with this bottle.
I don't know, man. I'm getting a little bit more of the mint than you. It was like a mint powder.
I get that, but mint is not a sign of age.
I'm not saying it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like, I'm getting rye spice. I'm thinking a little bit of red fruits coming through, a little bit of rye bread notes. I'm not getting as much mint, but I know what you're talking about because I get the cooling note a little bit here too. So I get the cooling, but I don't know. It's not distinct mint to me.
The bread note does feel correct to me. Although,
I get a little bit of that Christmas spice that rye sometimes gives, just a hint. Yeah. So, and I'm thinking like it's almost like you took cinnamon, but you made it not spicy. If that makes any sense. Like you took the spice effect of cinnamon, but some of the red notes are still there.
I think that's really what you said was purple notes earlier. I didn't necessarily get any purple notes. I did get a twinge of cinnamon, though. You
could be right.
I used to make toast when I was a kid, and I put butter on it and white sugar and cinnamon. Like that mix, just because that's whatever we had in the house.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, I'm a teenage boy. I just could not get enough calories. And that toast with butter, and just a little bit of butter, and the butter's melted because the toast is warm, and cinnamon and sugar on top of it. It just really reminds me.
There is, the more I dig in here, a distinct butter note. And I don't think butter too often with bourbon, but there is a distinct bit of butter.
I don't think a lot with whiskey in general, maybe other than, say, Talisker.
Yeah. But this has definitely got a nice little bit of butter.
But it's like a vanilla butter.
You
know what I mean? I don't know the right way to say that, actually.
What's interesting is when I take a deep nosing here, vanilla's gone. When I do a light nosing, it's heavy vanilla. It's interesting, like how just subtly kind of changing at the vanilla levels really change. Everything else is kind of similar, but the vanilla really differs.
The vanilla note in this is almost like looking inside your microwave. If you look right at it, you can't see. You got almost like, not look directly at it. Anything with a full gaze is just going to be too much not to burn it up. Just going to dissipate on you.
Now, Mike, the palate. And this is where this whiskey really shines.
What are you getting, buddy?
It is a lighter, fruitier bourbon than I'm used to. It's bringing this very interesting, and I go back to that kind of grape note, but it's the wheat that's giving me, it's like the wheat note. It's giving me like a little bit of grapiness. It's giving me like, it's almost like you put a drop of Dimetapp into a bourbon, where it just adds a little bit of grape, maybe a little touch of Welch's grape juice. I don't know, one of the two. It doesn't have that sourness of Welch's, but again, a little bit of grapiness, a little medicinal, with obviously the corn's there, but I'm getting much more of like a wheat husk. I'm getting like hay notes, but there's a super sweetness that comes through here, and then there's a dryingness here that is sort of like if you had a light fruity tobacco, almost maybe like the tobacco hasn't finished drying yet. It started the drying process, but it's not there, so it's still a little wet. A little of that's coming through. Very different palate than it is on the nose. And I really enjoy, I don't know if I think this is great bourbon, or I just love how different and unique it is from your other traditional bourbons you get. Because it's really interesting and it's different.
This is like a farm, and right next door is an orchard. And like one side of the field does hay, and the other side of the field does apples or something. Maybe pears. And you took those two things, and you infused them into a whiskey that was it was heavy on sweetness and candy. You know what I mean? But there is a little bit of farmy notes. Mm-hmm. And there are some fruit notes, like an orchard fruit notes. But there is something earthy, something tilled earth, / orchard / wheat. Just inside of the bubble of sweetness.
I'm getting that apple note you're saying there. It's the thing is here. There's like
gum that incorporate. It's watermelon gum here at the end too. Specifically, watermelon gum.
I think the big thing that makes this confusing is there is really no acidity here. There's no there's none of that. It's all very earthy.
Stewed
but those
fruits meets
fruits
dirt.
are coming in, yeah.
Stone fruits and stewed fruits.
I can see that.
A lot going on here. There's a lot of pieces to this.
I love what they blended here. I mean, this is the power of blending, guys.
Agreed.
And
it tastes like there's a lot of components.
yeah, and they've created a more complex whiskey. Is it better? Maybe, maybe not. But it's the complexity, depth,
I liked it.
and uniqueness is crazy.
I like to have a lot of things in a whiskey sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I like straightforward whiskeys too. But whatever one you do it well. I mean, there are a lot of well-rounded flavors here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean...
And to the point, we really can't concentrate on one and just be like, okay, I want to focus on this part of the whiskey and I'm fine with it. There is so much going on here.
Yeah. Like, we had the new riff earlier. Very good 8-year
Corn silk on the nose. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, I he's interrupted. I mean, I've just been around these things my whole life. Like, there's so many of those elements here.
Yeah, but like we had the new riff earlier. Really well done, well put together bourbon, but it's simple. This is so much more complex. There's so much more going on.
It does take all the offensive notes out, though, of things we say like dirt and hay and farm.
There's nothing. No, every one of those notes could be a negative. Not one of them is.
Like, none of them have anything nasty that you would think.
No.
Or possibly think of. It's all the best notes of that.
It's a clean, sweet, rich, and it's so classic Kentucky bourbon, and yet it's not. There's something so distinctly different.
There is something so recognizable about Wild Turkey 101 in this, and yet so many things that are just...
Yeah.
It's like something old and something new, just like put together.
Like, honestly, like Mike, I swear, I never pour this whiskey by itself. I'm always pouring something else, and I'm like, I want to see a contrast, and I'll pour this as a contrast. I've probably poured 30 pours of this, like at like a quarter ounce, just to taste like contrasting elements to kind of bring me back to like, okay, what's this bourbon doing? This is such a unique bourbon.
Sweet pork rind, if that makes any sense. Like if you get like pork rind in a bag, but it's like some seasoning that's super sweet on it. Wow,
I can see that.
This is quite the collection of flavors.
Yeah, it's a and it's kind of fun. We're coming off of drinking scotch and going back to bourbon, and that even gives it a different take. I mean, I'm still getting everything I know and love about this whiskey, but I'm also getting some new elements because bourbon can be cloyingly sweet when you have it before scotch, but bourbon can be cloyingly like earthy when you have it after scotch because of the maltiness of scotch. And it's just fun. Like, this is a whiskey that I just feel like you can put into any flight to just change the pace, give yourself a new flavor.
I don't disagree with that. Where do you even put it in the flight? First, last, middle?
I think you just sneak it in there somewhere, and you just like, this is the thing you throw into somebody, like mess with them on a flight. Like, what is this? And whether it's a bourbon flight or it's just a whiskey blind flight, you just want to mess with people.
I agree, Dustin. Quite the experience. Where are you at as far as a whiskey score on this one?
So, I'm going to give this an 89, Mike. Complexity on this thing is like 93. But my enjoyment's probably a little less in the fact that, like, I do want to get a little more of that leathered, aged notes in bourbon. It somehow seems to miss them. But it also has this beautiful mouthfeel, the almost 60% alcohol, 120 proof. Comes off incredibly well.
Agreed.
Gives you a really rich mouthfeel, great coating, which I didn't even really get to, and I love what that wheat note is doing. It's incredible. I think they hit a home run here. $140 or so. I think this is absolutely a buy if you are into experimental blended bourbon.
I'm an 87, Dustin. My enjoyment of it is probably closer to an 88, and I appreciate what they're trying to do. What this whiskey does for me is it forced me to look at something that I wouldn't necessarily sign up for. This wasn't the movie I was expecting to see, but I'm glad I got to try it.
Yeah.
I think $140 is a little high, but probably about right in the bourbon world these days. That sounds about right. Good whiskey, no doubt. Well crafted, complex. Those are all positives, and those are all things this whiskey possesses.
Hey, I can see this being a polarizing whiskey that people like, but in terms of value, I think you are really going to have to decide. If you come in thinking, oh, I'm getting mostly turkey, let me tell you, that Bardstown weeded note completely takes it from your normal turkey realm.
Oh, it's way better than that.
Like, it just takes you to a whole different world. Like, if you're thinking like you're getting 13-year-old wild turkey, because there are a few out there that are really good, this is sort of missing some of the really good wild turkey 13-year-old notes. But it's got all these other things. So I could see this being somebody's whiskey of the year, and I could see this being a disappointment.
Not the movie I came to see, maybe the movie I needed to see.
There you go.
Those are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, we'd like to know what you guys think. Until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy experimental blended drinking.
See you next time.